How I stopped my memory from fading after 50. Scientifically proven methods. Have you ever walked into a room and completely forgotten why you went there in the first place? Or maybe you've started noticing names, appointments, and even familiar words slipping away, little by little, like sand through your fingers. That's exactly what happened to me when I turned 50. I used to think, it's just aging. It happens to everyone. But what I discovered later completely changed my life and the way I think about brain health forever. Because the truth is, memory decline is not an inevitable part of aging. In fact, there are specific, scientifically proven methods that can rebuild neural connections, boost recall, and sharpen focus, even if you feel your mind has been slowing down for years. In this video, I'm going to walk you through everything I did, step by step, to stop my memory from fading. We'll explore what's really happening inside your brain after 50, the hidden habits that accelerate memory loss, and the natural, science-backed methods that can turn things around faster than you think. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why your brain might be starving for one simple nutrient, how sleep debt silently erodes memory, and the surprising daily ritual that can trigger your brain's natural repair process without any drugs, gimmicks, or miracle supplements. So stay with me, because if you've ever worried about memory loss, focus, or even early signs of brain fog, this might be the most important video you'll watch this year. What really happens to your brain? After 50, when I turned 50, I started noticing something subtle, not dramatic, but enough to make me pause. I'd walk into the kitchen and forget why I went there. I'd start a sentence and lose the word halfway through. I could still think clearly, but it felt like my mind had shifted from high-speed internet to dial-up, if that sounds familiar. Here's what's actually going on inside your brain. After the age of 50, the brain begins to go through a process called neural pruning. It's the body's way of removing weak or unused connections between neurons, kind of like trimming the branches of a tree. The idea is to make your brain more efficient, but when you combine that with stress, poor sleep, inflammation, and nutritional deficiencies, your brain starts pruning too much. It begins to delete healthy connections. That's why many people over 50 describe their memory decline not as forgetting, but more like losing access. The memory is still there. It's just buried under layers of poor communication between neurons. And here's the key. Scientists now know that this breakdown in communication is caused by neuroinflammation, inflammation in the brain itself. For years, experts believed memory decline was mostly genetic or inevitable. But cutting-edge research now shows it's actually metabolic. In other words, your brain cells aren't dying because they're old. They're starving. Think of your brain as a city that runs on energy. The fuel, glucose and oxygen. The delivery trucks, your blood vessels. After 50, those trucks start hitting traffic. Plaque buildup, reduced blood flow, and insulin resistance make it harder for your brain cells to get their fuel. And when neurons don't get enough energy, they don't just slow down, they malfunction. This is when you start forgetting names, losing focus, misplacing things, and feeling mentally drained. It's not that your memory is disappearing. Your brain is running low on power, but there's another piece of the puzzle that most people never hear about. And this is where things get really interesting. Inside your brain, there's a janitor system called the glymphatic system. Its job is to clean up toxins and metabolic waste while you sleep. But after 50, that cleaning system slows down, mainly because we sleep less deeply and because our brains are often dehydrated or inflamed. Imagine never taking out the trash in your house. After a few days, it starts to smell. After a few weeks, you can't even move around. That's exactly what happens in the brain when the glymphatic system stops doing its job. The trash, which includes damaged proteins like beta-amyloid, starts to pile up. And that buildup doesn't just cause memory problems. It accelerates cognitive aging. Now, the good news is, this entire process is reversible. Recent studies from Harvard and the University of California have shown that neuroplasticity, Your brain's ability to grow new connections doesn't disappear with age. It just needs the right conditions to thrive. Your brain is constantly adapting, constantly rewiring, constantly learning. Even at 70 or 80, you can still form brand new neurons in the hippocampus, the part of your brain responsible for memory and learning. The problem is, most people unknowingly sabotage this process through daily habits, chronic stress, which floods the brain with cortisol and shrinks memory centers, sleep deprivation, which blocks the brain's cleanup cycle, poor diet, which starves the neurons of key nutrients like omega-3s, B vitamins and antioxidants, and a sedentary lifestyle, which literally slows down blood flow to your brain. When all of these factors come together, your mind starts to fade, not because it's too old, but because it's being neglected. But here's the exciting part. When you start feeding your brain the right way, moving your body regularly, getting deeper sleep, and lowering inflammation, your brain can wake up again. I saw it happen myself. Within just a few weeks of changing a few key habits, I noticed that my focus came back. My mental fog started to lift. I could remember names, details, and conversations that used to slip away. And the science behind it all is incredibly motivating, because it proves that your brain has a built-in repair mechanism, just waiting for you to activate it. In the next chapter, I'll show you the silent habits that accelerate memory loss after 50. And most people have no idea they're doing them every single day. The hidden habits that destroy your memory without you noticing. When I first started noticing my memory slipping, I blamed it on stress. But what I didn't realize was that it wasn't just stress. It was the little daily habits silently rewiring my brain in the wrong direction. Most people think memory decline begins with big things, like a stroke, head injury, or disease. But in reality, it often begins with small, invisible choices we make every single day, choices that gradually drain our brain's energy, create inflammation, and block the natural communication between neurons. Let me walk you through the most common ones. The sleep deprivation trap. We live in a world that celebrates productivity, where sleeping less is seen as a badge of honor. But here's the truth. When you sacrifice sleep, you sacrifice memory, period. Your brain uses deep sleep to consolidate memories, to literally move information from short-term to long-term storage. Think of it like hitting the save button on your computer. Without that deep sleep, your brain keeps working in temporary mode. That's why you wake up foggy, forget appointments, or can't recall what you just read. But there's something even more damaging. Chronic sleep deprivation triggers beta amyloid buildup, the same toxic protein associated with Alzheimer's. And studies show that even one night of poor sleep can increase this buildup by up to 30%. So, if you're sleeping less than 7 hours a night, your brain isn't resting, it's aging faster. The sugar roller coaster sugar doesn't just expand your waistline, it shrinks your memory. When you consume refined sugars or processed carbs, your blood sugar spikes, then crashes. That roller coaster causes inflammation in your brain and damages the hippocampus, your memory's command center. Over time, your brain becomes resistant to insulin, the hormone that delivers glucose to your neurons. When that happens, your brain cells start starving, even if you're eating enough food. This is why researchers now call Alzheimer's type 3 diabetes. What shocked me the most was how many healthy foods were secretly keeping my brain foggy. Things like flavored yogurts, protein bars, fruit juices, and even low-fat dressings. Once I cut them out, my clarity improved within days. Chronic stress, the silent killer of focus. When you're under constant stress, your brain releases cortisol, the stress hormone. In small doses, cortisol can help you survive, but in high doses, it literally damages neurons, especially in the hippocampus. Think about that for a second. The same hormone that helps you deal with a deadline can destroy your memory when it's always on. I used to think I was handling stress well, but inside, my brain was burning out. Cortisol kills connections between neurons and prevents new ones from forming. That's why long-term stress often leads to brain fog, anxiety, and even early cognitive decline. But the good news is, the brain can bounce back once cortisol levels drop. Simple techniques like deep breathing, walking in nature, and mindfulness aren't fluffy ideas. They literally rebuild brain circuits that stress destroys. The sedentary mind, if you think memory training is all about puzzles and brain games, think again. Your brain depends on movement, because movement increases blood flow, oxygen, and growth factors like BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, basically fertilizer for your brain cells. Studies show that walking just 30 minutes a day can increase hippocampal volume, meaning it physically grows your memory center. When I started incorporating regular walks and light workouts into my day, my focus, creativity, and recall improved dramatically. It wasn't just exercise, it was fuel for my brain. Digital overload. Here's one that almost no one talks about: the way technology is reshaping our attention span. Every notification, every scroll, every dopamine hit from social media trains your brain to crave novelty instead of depth. We've become addicted to distraction. And when your brain is constantly jumping from one stimulus to another, it loses the ability to hold information. It's not that your memory is weak, it's just overloaded. One study found that the average person checks their phone over 100 times per day, which fragments concentration and prevents the hippocampus from encoding long-term memories. To reverse that, I started scheduling digital detox hours, one in the morning, one before bed. It felt strange at first, but soon I noticed something. I could think more clearly and recall things effortlessly again. Nutrient deficiency, the hidden enemy finally. There's one factor that ties everything together: nutrition. Your brain is a nutrient-hungry organ. It needs omega-3 fatty acids for structure, B vitamins for neurotransmitter production, magnesium to calm neurons, and antioxidants to fight inflammation. But our modern diet, full of processed foods, seed oils, and artificial ingredients, starves the brain. A deficiency in B12, for example, can mimic symptoms of dementia. Low omega-3 levels are linked to depression and poor focus. And without magnesium, your brain stays stuck in stress mode. The result? Fatigue, forgetfulness, mood swings, and a mind that feels years older than it really is. The truth is, these habits work together like a slow poison. You don't notice it day by day, but month after month, year after year, they erode your mental clarity. But once you recognize them and start to reverse them, even just one at a time, your brain begins to heal. It's not about perfection. It's about consistency. In the next chapter, I'll reveal the exact scientifically proven methods I used to rebuild my memory and recharge my brain after 50, including one natural compound that scientists are calling the miracle fertilizer for neurons. The scientifically proven methods that rebuild your memory. After 50, when I realized how much my habits were quietly damaging my brain, I made a promise to myself to rebuild it, no matter what it took. And what I discovered along the way absolutely changed everything, because the truth is, the human brain is not a machine that wears out. It's a living organ that can rebuild itself. Every single day, it's creating new neural connections, pruning old ones and adapting to what you feed it, both physically and mentally. So, let's talk about the proven, science-backed methods that reignite that process. The ones that helped me stop my memory from fading and actually sharpened it. Feed your brain what it's starving for. You can't expect your brain to function like a high-performance engine if you're giving it low-quality fuel. And yet that's what most of us do. Your brain is made up of about 60% fat, and every single thought, every memory, every emotion depends on the health of your cell membranes, which are literally built from the fats you eat. That's why one of the first things I did was switch to a brain-healthy diet. wild-caught salmon, sardines and mackerel for omega-3s, avocado, extra virgin olive oil, walnuts, and flaxseed for healthy fats, eggs, especially the yolks. For choline, an essential nutrient for acetylcholine, the neurotransmitter of memory, and plenty of colorful vegetables, and berries for antioxidants that protect neurons from oxidative stress. But there's one nutrient most people overlook: vitamin B12. A deficiency in B12 can cause memory loss, confusion, and brain fog. In fact, studies show that nearly 20% of adults over 50 have low B12 levels, often because of reduced stomach acid. That's why I began supplementing with a methylated B complex, and the difference was noticeable within weeks. The miracle compound for neurons. Omega-3 DHA. There's one nutrient your brain begs for. It's DHA, a type of omega-3 fatty acid that literally forms the structure of your brain cells. Think of DHA as the oil that keeps your mental gears turning smoothly. When your levels drop, your neurons become stiff, communication slows, and memory suffers. In one Harvard study, people who consumed higher amounts of DHA performed up to 47% better on memory tests than those with lower intake. And here's the exciting part. DHA doesn't just protect your brain. It actually builds new synapses. After just 2 months of taking high-quality fish oil and increasing my intake of omega-rich foods, I noticed something profound. My focus returned. My recall improved. It felt like someone had polished the lens of my mind. The power of movement. For your mind, most people exercise for their body. I started doing it for my brain. Here's why. Every time you move, your brain releases BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Scientists call it miracle grow for the brain. BDNF helps neurons grow, repair, and form stronger connections. In one study from the University of British Columbia, people who walked briskly for just 40 minutes, 3 times a week, had a measurable increase in the size of their hippocampus, the memory center of the brain. The effect was so strong that researchers said it was like reversing brain aging by 2 years. So now, I treat exercise as mental training. Even a light workout, a 20-minute walk, a short yoga session, or dancing to your favorite song can trigger a wave of BDNF and reset your focus for the day. Activate the brain's repair system. Through sleep. You've heard it before, but it can't be overstated. Deep, restorative sleep is the foundation of brain regeneration. During deep sleep, the brain's glymphatic system flushes out toxins that accumulate during the day, including beta amyloid, the same protein linked to Alzheimer's. When I started improving my sleep hygiene, dimming lights at night, avoiding screens after 9 p.m., and keeping my room cool and dark, everything changed. Not only did I wake up more rested, but my mind felt sharper. I could recall details effortlessly and think faster. It wasn't magic. It was simply allowing my brain's cleanup crew to finally do its job. Reignite neuroplasticity with learning and curiosity. Of the most underestimated tools for memory recovery is mental challenge. Your brain thrives on novelty. It's designed to grow when you give it something new to learn. When you learn a new skill, whether it's playing an instrument, learning a language, or even taking a different route to work, your brain creates new neural pathways. And each of those connections is like a memory muscle, keeping your mind flexible and young. I started small, learning a few words in a new language, trying memory games, even cooking new recipes. Within weeks, I could feel my brain getting stronger. Neuroscientists call this neuroplasticity, and it's one of the greatest gifts we have as humans. Your brain is not fixed. It's alive, responsive, and capable of growth at any age. Lower brain inflammation. Naturally, one of the biggest breakthroughs for me was understanding that brain fog isn't just mental, it's inflammatory. The modern diet, Stress and toxins create a state of chronic inflammation that literally burns the brain's communication lines. To calm that fire, I focused on three key things: cutting out seed oils and processed foods, adding anti-inflammatory herbs like turmeric and ginger, and using a compound called TUDCA, a bile salt shown to reduce endoplasmic reticulum stress and support cellular detox. The same compound scientists are now studying for its potential in protecting neurons. Within weeks, I felt lighter, not just physically but mentally. The mental fog lifted, and I began to feel the same mental clarity I had in my 30s. 7. The mindset shift. From fear to empowerment finally. The most powerful change wasn't physical, it was psychological. When I stopped seeing my memory decline as inevitable and started seeing it as reversible, everything shifted. Hope, it turns out, is a neurological tool. When you believe your brain can change, your brain responds accordingly, releasing growth hormones, strengthening connections, and accelerating learning. And that's the real secret. Your thoughts literally shape your brain. In the next chapter, I'll share the simple daily routine I built around these principles, a schedule that anyone over 50 can follow to keep their memory sharp, their focus strong, and their brain biologically young. My daily routine to keep my brain sharp. After 50, after learning how powerful the brain's ability to rebuild really is, I realized something important. It doesn't take complicated programs or endless supplements to keep your memory sharp. It takes consistency. So, I built a daily routine, simple enough to follow, but powerful enough to change the way my brain performs. And every element of this routine is backed by science. Let me walk you through my day, step by step. Morning. Wake the brain before the world wakes you. The first few moments after waking up set the tone for the entire day. Instead of reaching for my phone, I now reach for water and sunlight. 1. Hydrate and reboot overnight. Your brain loses hydration through breathing. Even mild dehydration, as little as 2%, can cause confusion, fatigue, and slower reaction time. So the first thing I do, a full glass of filtered water with a pinch of sea salt and a squeeze of lemon. It instantly wakes up the cells and restores electrolyte balance. 2. Morning sunlight exposure. Next, I go outside for 10 minutes of natural light. This isn't just for vitamin D, it's for your circadian rhythm. Sunlight in the morning triggers serotonin production, which later converts into melatonin at night, helping you sleep deeply and think clearly. I often take that time to breathe slowly, grounding myself and mentally reviewing what I'm grateful for. It's incredible how quickly your focus shifts when your morning starts with intention instead of chaos. 3. A brain-fueling breakfast. I used to skip breakfast or grab something sugary. Now I start with protein and healthy fats. Scrambled eggs cooked in olive oil, avocado, and a few blueberries on the side. Why? Because protein supports neurotransmitters like dopamine and acetylcholine, the chemicals that drive motivation and memory. And healthy fats stabilize blood sugar, keeping my brain steady and focused for hours. No sugar crashes. No mid-morning fog. Midday, keep the mind energized around noon. When most people start to crash, I do the opposite. I reset. 4. Movement breaks. Every 90 minutes, I take a short movement break, even if it's just a 5-minute walk or some light stretching. These small bursts of movement improve circulation, deliver oxygen to the brain, and trigger BDNF, that fertilizer for neurons we talked about earlier. I used to think I didn't have time for that. Now I realize I didn't have time not to do it. Because every minute I spend recharging physically gives me double the focus mentally. 5. Learning time, at least 30 minutes a day, I dedicate to mental challenge. Sometimes it's reading something new. Sometimes it's practicing a language or listening to a science podcast. The goal isn't to memorize, it's to stimulate. Neuroplasticity thrives on novelty. Every time you push your brain to learn something unfamiliar, you're literally building new neural connections, and I can tell you that's what makes your brain feel alive. Evening, repair and recharge. The evening is when most people unknowingly sabotage their brain, scrolling through screens, eating late or staying overstimulated. But I use this time to switch my body into repair mode. 6. Anti-inflammatory dinner is my simplest meal of the day. Grilled salmon or chicken, lots of vegetables, olive oil and turmeric tea. That combination delivers antioxidants, omega-3s, and anti-inflammatory compounds that protect my neurons overnight. I avoid heavy carbs or sugar after 6 p.m. because they disrupt sleep and spike insulin, which interferes with the brain's cleanup cycle. 7. Digital sunset an hour before bed. I do something radical in today's world. I turn off every screen, no phone, no TV, no emails. Instead, I dim the lights, maybe play calm instrumental music and read a physical book. Yes, with real pages. Why? Because the blue light from screens tricks your brain into thinking it's still daytime. That suppresses melatonin, delays deep sleep, and leaves your mind exhausted the next day. Once I made this change, my sleep quality transformed. I woke up with vivid dreams, clearer thoughts, and sharper memory. 8. Sleep like it's medicine. And here's the truth. Sleep is medicine. It's the only time your brain can fully detoxify, process memories, and reset hormonal balance. I aim for 7-8 hours of uninterrupted sleep, in a cool, dark room with no noise. And every morning after a good night's sleep, it feels like my brain has been upgraded overnight. My routine in summary: hydrate immediately after waking, get 10 minutes of natural light, eat a protein-rich, low-sugar breakfast, move every 90 minutes, learn something new daily, eat anti-inflammatory foods, power down screens an hour before bed, sleep deeply and consistently. These are not big, complicated steps, but together they create what I call a neuroprotective lifestyle, a daily rhythm that keeps your brain young, focused and resilient. In the next chapter, I'll share how I overcame moments of brain fog, doubt, and mental fatigue, and how I retrained my mind to think faster, remember more, and stay calm under stress. How I overcame brain fog and mental fatigue. After 50, there was a time not that long ago when I would wake up already tired. Not physically, but mentally. It felt like my brain was covered in a thick fog. I'd read a paragraph and forget what I just read. I'd start a task, switch to another, and end the day with everything half done and my focus scattered everywhere. At first, I thought it was just age. Maybe I was doing too much. Maybe my brain was slowing down. But the truth was much simpler and far more empowering. Brain fog isn't a mystery. It's a message. It's your brain's way of saying, I'm overloaded, inflamed, and exhausted. And the good news, you can reverse it completely. Step 1. Reduce the load. The first step to clearing brain fog is not adding more to your plate. It's taking things off it. Your brain has a limited capacity for decisions, information, and multitasking. Every notification, every mental tab you leave open drains energy from the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for focus and problem solving. So, I started simplifying my environment. I turned off all unnecessary notifications. I wrote down the 3 most important tasks of the day. No more, no less. And I created focus blocks of 45 minutes with 0 distractions. The result? My productivity didn't just double, it simplified. I stopped confusing busyness with progress. It's amazing how much clarity returns when you stop forcing your brain to multitask its way through chaos. Step 2. Reset the nervous system. Here's something most people don't realize. Mental fatigue isn't just in your head, it's in your nervous system. When you're constantly in fight or flight mode, rushing, stressing, reacting, your body floods with cortisol and adrenaline. That chemical storm burns through neurotransmitters and leaves your brain depleted. To fix that, I began doing something incredibly simple. Breathing, not just any breathing, but deep diaphragmatic breathing through the nose in rhythm. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 2, exhale for 6. It takes less than 2 minutes, but it sends a signal to the brain. You're safe. You can rest. That single habit lowered my stress, improved focus, and cleared the fog faster than any coffee or supplement ever could. I also started ending my showers with 20 seconds of cold water. It's uncomfortable, yes, but it activates the vagus nerve, resets the nervous system, and sharpens alertness immediately. Step 3. Feed the brain. Smartly, when you're mentally exhausted, it's tempting to reach for quick energy, sugar, caffeine, processed snacks. But those are like throwing gasoline on a fire. I started eating for stability, not stimulation. Every meal includes protein, fiber, and healthy fats. And I added brain-specific nutrients that directly combat fatigue. Magnesium glycinate. To calm the mind and relax blood vessels, L-theanine. An amino acid in green tea that boosts focus without jitters. Lion's mane mushroom, shown in studies to promote nerve growth and cognitive clarity. After just a few weeks, my mental fog moments became rare. It was as if the static had cleared and my thoughts were finally in high definition again. Step 4. The power of micro-rest. Used to think the harder I pushed, the more productive I'd be. But that's not how the brain works. The brain operates in cycles, periods of focus, followed by periods of recovery. Ignoring that natural rhythm leads to burnout and fog. Now I work in 90-minute focus blocks, followed by 10-minute recharge breaks. During those breaks, I walk, stretch, breathe, or just close my eyes. It's not wasted time, it's refueling time. And it makes the next 90 minutes twice as effective. Science backs this up. Researchers at the University of Illinois found that brief mental breaks actually prevent fatigue and sustain performance much longer than working non-stop. Step 5. Reset the mindset. Perhaps the biggest change wasn't physical, it was mental. For years, I associated brain fog with failure, as if losing focus meant I was getting weaker. But once I reframed it as feedback, everything changed. Instead of judging myself, I started asking questions. What is my brain trying to tell me right now? Do I need rest, nutrition, or calm? This shift from self-criticism to self-awareness was life-changing, because when you treat your brain as an ally, not an obstacle, it starts to cooperate. The fog clears faster, the energy returns, the confidence grows. Now, my mind feels clearer than it did in my 30s, and I didn't get there by overworking, overthinking, or overstimulating myself, but by giving my brain exactly what it needed: rest, nourishment, simplicity, and belief. In the next chapter, I'll reveal the final transformation, how all these changes not only rebuilt my memory and focus, but gave me a new sense of mental youth and purpose. And I'll show you how you can start your own journey today. The final transformation, how I reversed memory decline and reclaimed my mental youth. If you had told me 10 years ago that at 55 I'd feel sharper, calmer, and more focused than I did in my 30s, I would have laughed. Back then, I thought mental decline was something that just happened, something you had to accept. But I was wrong. What I discovered changed not only how I think, but how I live. The turning point. The real transformation didn't happen overnight. It began with small, almost invisible changes. A better breakfast, deeper sleep, a few minutes of walking, 5 minutes of breathing. At first I didn't expect much, but week after week, something started to shift. The fog began to lift. I could remember names again, focus for hours, and feel energy flowing through my mind instead of pressure weighing it down. Even my family noticed. "You seem more alive lately," my wife said one morning. And she was right. I didn't just have a better memory, I had a younger brain. The science of renewal. Here's what's truly amazing. Neuroscience now confirms that the brain is capable of renewal at any age. Neurons don't stop growing after 40 or 50. They simply need the right environment. the right nutrients, oxygen, sleep, stimulation, and calm to thrive again. Every good habit you practice sends a biological message. Keep growing. And every small win compounds, like interest on a mental investment account. So while most people are told that aging means decline, the truth is this: aging can mean refinement, efficiency, and clarity. If you give your brain what it's been craving all along. The emotional shift, I didn't just regain memory, I regained confidence. That quiet panic of, what if I forget again, disappeared. I started trusting my mind again, and with that came creativity, purpose, and peace. See, when your brain works with you instead of against you, life feels different. You stop surviving and start experiencing. The little things, reading, learning, listening, become joyful again. And that joy fuels more motivation, more clarity, more energy. It's a cycle, but now a positive one. The deeper realization. The more I learned, the clearer it became. Memory loss isn't just about the brain. It's about how we live. It's the sum of how we eat, move, rest, and think. Every thought, every meal, every night of sleep is either building your mind or breaking it down. And once you see that connection, it's empowering, because it means you're in control. Your future is not fixed, your brain is not broken, and your age does not define your potential. From decline to rejuvenation today, my morning begins with gratitude instead of exhaustion. My days flow with focus instead of fog. And every evening, I feel the quiet satisfaction of knowing that I'm not getting older, I'm getting sharper. The transformation wasn't just physical, it was mental rejuvenation, and it taught me something powerful. You don't lose your mental youth with time, you lose it with neglect. And when you start caring for your brain, it rewards you with energy, clarity, and presence you thought were gone forever. The takeaway: so if you've been feeling like your memory is slipping or your focus isn't what it used to be, don't accept it as fate. Your brain is waiting for you to remember how powerful it really is. Feed it right, rest it deeply, challenge it daily, and most of all, believe in it, because once you do, your brain believes in you too. If this message resonated with you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who might need to hear it. And if you want more videos about natural, science-based ways to keep your mind and body young, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming next. Because this journey doesn't end here. It's just the beginning of a new, sharper, and more powerful you.